Hi everyone, welcome to our Facebook Live today. If you're tuning in right now, let's just hold on for a couple more minutes while we wait for more people to stream in. For those joining us live, let's just hang on for a little while more while we wait for more people to join us. Okay, so for those who are waiting, right, we actually have a Ask Me Anything session after our speakers have presented later. So if you have any questions that you would like them to answer um, on anything related to mobile games, please do drop your comment on the platform that you are watching this live. Okay, so we'll just hang on for a little bit more just to wait for those who are coming in. Okay. Hi everyone, it's already 2 p.m. over here, and most of you have already tuned in, so let's begin. Now, a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on a bright, lovely Saturday afternoon, or at least it is so here in Singapore where I am. My name is Melissa, and I am the Senior Marketing Manager from Huawei APAC Consumer Cloud Service, and I will be your host for today. Now, this is our third session of a total of about 7 workshops that we have planned for all our developers as part of an educational series for Apps Up 2021, which is Huawei HMS App Innovation Contest. So if you don't already know, registrations for Apps Up contest are already open from now to August 20th. So if you have an app or a great idea for a new one, all you need to do is just integrate with HMS Core Kits, publish into Huawei App Gallery, and you'll be competing from a prize pool of US $200,000. Now, I'll share a little bit more about these Apps Up contests towards the end of the session, so don't go away. We also have 2 awards in the games category, so that would be best games. We have 2 of them at $15,000 each, so we'll share a little bit more about that towards the end. Now, back to today's topic on mobile games industry insights. We have invited 2 very special speakers who are experts in the game industry. Firstly, let me introduce Ms. Gwen Guo. She's the chairperson of SGGA, Singapore Games Association, aimed at supporting local industry growth with immediate focus on the game development and esports sectors. Now, if you're in the games industry, perhaps you may have seen her as a speaker at other game conferences globally, including GDC, Casual Connect Asia, Level Up KL, and High Score Melbourne. And we're very happy to have Gwen as one of our judges for Apps Up this year. Now, let's bring Gwen in to say hello.
Hey everyone, thanks for the introduction, Melissa. So, yeah, today my presentation will be pretty short. I'll be covering things like the games ecosystem, which include mobile games, as well as the kind of jobs, the kind of roles that you can find in the games industry. And I'm going to talk a bit about game communities, game jams, as well as what I'm looking out for as a judge.
All right, we can't wait to hear that. Thank you, Gwen. Now, next up, he is a Huawei Developer Group organizer and also one of our judges for Apps Up this year. We have Adam from Indonesia. He is CEO and co-founder of Asanesia and Asa Kids. Both are mobile game company. With more than 11 years of experience in the game industry, Adam is also currently the vice president of Indonesia Games Association. He's a content creator himself, where he spends his time creating YouTube videos and podcasts about the game industry, runs his own blog, as well as blogging on sites like Daily Social and Decoding Academy. Now, should we have Adam join us as well?
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. So, for today's session, to join the competition, you need to integrate Huawei mobile services. And today, I'm gonna share, especially for game developers, how to integrate HMS into Unity and publish it to the App Gallery using Unity distribution platform.
Thank you, Adam. We can't wait to listen to your presentation as well. All right, now that we have said our hellos, let's get right in to have a look at the agenda for today. Okay, so as you can see, today is going to be a 1.5 hour long session with the two of the speakers that we have just introduced. But I promise that the speakers have in store really exciting and interesting topics. So please do stick around. Now, here's the agenda for today. So we'll have Gwen start off with a macro outlook about the games industry on game developer ecosystem, game industry 101 if you're new to this industry, and then of course D&I in this industry. It's a 1.5 hour long session, so we have incorporated a 5 minute break. We'll be playing a video during this period of time. So if you would like to learn more about Apps Up, you could stay for that video, or you could just get a toilet, squeeze in a toilet break during this period of time. And then we'll have Adam join us to share more about Unity and HMS Core Kit integration, as well as publishing with UDP. Okay, so once that is done, we're going to open the floor for an AMA or Ask Me Anything session, like I mentioned earlier. So if you have questions relating to what was presented or anything mobile games related, please do drop your comments or questions in the comments box on the platform where you are watching this live. Okay, and last but not least, I'll take over the stage again to share about the Apps Up contest that's happening right now for those who don't already know. So stay tuned. And without further ado, I'm going to pass the time over to Gwen.
Thank you. There you go. Okay. Hi, cool. Hey everyone. So I am Gwen. I'm the chairperson of SGGA, but actually my roots is in development and very specifically game audio development. So for me, I'm a co-founder and creative director of Invite Interactive, a game audio services based in Singapore. So we do stuff like cover sound effects, sound design, music composition, voiceover, and implementation. And I've been around in the industry for about 8 to 10 years. And along the way, I realized that wow, I really fell in love with the games community and I feel really at home. So actually, a huge part of my background, which started about 5, 6 years ago, also involves a lot of game community, running events, including IGDA Singapore in the past, as well as Singapore Games Guild and Game Audio Singapore. So that's primarily my background. And also, I am a huge Genshin Impact fan. If you want to talk about mobile games, I main Bennett here. If y'all know who he is, I even have a Zhongli pillow. So yeah, that shows the intensity of my simping for Genshin Impact, just so you know. Okay, so a little bit about SGGA, Singapore Games Association. We are the primary trade association for gaming and esports in Singapore, and we are backed by 3 government agencies. So For us, our main thing is to really build a sustainable ecosystem for the games industry, as well as try to promote the Singapore brand in the to the rest of the world, right? So we do things like amplification of our local games. We try to form connections between global stakeholders and our local companies. We organize events, initiatives, workshops, and then we also speak to the government on how to better improve policy making for the games industry. Okay, so for mobile games, I think most of y'all know how huge it is, and this Newzoo report actually shows you the extent of how big it is. So, given all the different platforms that games are being published on, including PC, console, you can see that mobile is like 50% of the revenue, and that's quite a lot. But it also gives you an insight on the amount of competition that's out there. So as you know, global smartphone user is just increasing, and it's continuously making gaming a lot more accessible, especially to those that may not have access to PC or consoles. And as well as of course, the revenue is set to grow even more. So this is just really big picture insights on how fast the mobile games industry is actually growing. Now, let's talk about the economic impact of games and perhaps a little bit of insight about the ecosystem as well. So, when we talk about games development, right, whether it's mobile or PC or console, right, it doesn't just exist in a silo. Like we don't just, oh, I'm a developer for games and then I'm gonna make a game and then push it out and hope that, that's all that is. Because there's so much more that ripples down through beyond just your studio or you as a developer. So it starts off with the publishers and investors. This is mainly where all the money, is coming from. And then you have your different types of studios, triple A studios, indie studios. So I'll go through a little bit about what kind of studios these encompass. You have game incubators, game accelerators, then you have game conferences. You even have games as a service. So when we talk about games as a service, is clients like non-game related clients, like maybe telcos or like e-commerce sites or anything related, even construction companies, right, that are asking you to make games to really promote their services and their brand. And then there's also serious games. So serious games is all about games for utility, and like you can see a lot of them being used commonly in academia schools, in healthcare, medical, and in military. So for example, if you were to do a surgery simulation, that would be under serious games, right? Or like a military simulation. And then, of course, there's also board games, right? It may not be applicable to today's talk because we are focusing on digital mobile games, but I just want to say that board games is also quite a huge industry, especially with the publishers out there. Even in Singapore, a lot of our made in Singapore board games, and you can find them in everyday bookstores and stuff. So something to consider. And then apart from all the development studios, so this is just production, okay? On the outside circle, right, you have all these different services that benefit from this ecosystem. So there's myself, which I do audio outsource, right? And then there's also art outsource, there's games marketing services, game events, PR services, porting services. So like let's say you want to port your game from a PC to mobile or PC to Switch, all these kind of things, there are services for that. Gaming platforms, like the Sony's or even Huawei's App Gallery, and press and media, physical game distributors, legal services. So this one is really important. A lot of people that start game companies, maybe they underestimate the need to have legal services, especially when you're dealing with publisher contracts or like outsource contracts, hiring contracts, all these yeah, you better make sure that like you get the good end of the stick, when it comes to your deals with publishers, because a lot of times these publishers or these investors, they might either want equity or like a cut or rev share, and it's very important to be well versed in all these. Of course, there's also QA and localization. So localization means that your game that was meant to be for maybe a certain language or country, you might want to consider expanding it to many different other countries, making it accessible by either translation, really localizing the art so that it matches what that country, the players from that country would appreciate, right? And QA is also a lot of testing. So especially if you have a huge game, you might want to outsource your QA testing so that people know exactly what to test for, and therefore give you a bug list to the development team to fix. So this is just maybe like it scratches the it's like the tip of the iceberg of what a games industry can encompass. Okay, so going into the different kinds of development studios, right? There are the triple A's, which are the huge corporations out there. So you have your Tencents, your ByteDance, your Gameloft, your IGG, Supercell, Blizzard, and the Riots. So a lot of times these development studios, right, they're big and they also publish games, right? Whether it's their own games or like other games. So when you want to look at like huge companies that like 500 employees or stuff like that, then that's triple A. And then there's like the indie studios. The indie studios is really what you start out with. Maybe you're bootstrapping, you are like getting capital from your parents, or taking a loan. You start small. Maybe your company is either you solo developer, or like you have maybe 3 to 5 employees that slowly grow to 10 to 20. And a lot of times it's quite a hustle. So like you make sure that your game sells, and also maybe even get a bit of investment or have a deal with a publisher. And then once your studio expands to maybe 50 people, 100 people, and you're still making the games that you love to make, then you can progress to SME. Now this one is a little bit the lines of the categorization is a little bit blurry. Some people might call it double A studios, right? So either SME or double A, but you know that these studios maybe have investment backing, or they have a publisher that's working with them that enables them to grow to a certain size and be sustainable, right? And then there are incubators here. So incubators are those that give the indie studios a nice little kickstart. So whether it's giving you a discounted or free space, giving you a stipend to start, plus mentorship, that will really give the indie studios a good safety net to start off with. So I know a lot of these are quite Singapore centric. So bear with me here. I think you can find your equivalent in where you're from. So Cargo Studio, Iterative Collective, they're both Singaporean. Indie Game Startup Incubation is Indonesia, right? And yeah, so a lot of these people that start in incubators are like students or like fresh grads that really want to make their own game. And then of course there's game services. So just now I mentioned like I'm doing game audio. I provide services for game developer studios. Like our clients would be like AAA, SMEs, indies, So Keyword Studios, for example, does like QA and localization. Virtuous does like either co-development or art, 3D assets. General Arcade in Singapore does porting services, and myself, I do game audio. So many different kinds of services to choose from. And then there's games as a service. So just now I mentioned that the clients may not be games people. They may be different kind of corporations or even SMEs that are looking to gamify their experiences, or even schools that are looking to make their maybe textbook curriculum more interactive. So they will approach like the studios that do games as a service. And of course, you have the publishers like Hyper Casual Publisher, Voodoo Games, Potato Play, Scopely. So the publishers is they are interested in your game and they want to publish your game. So it depends on what kind of a deal that they want to strike. So this is where your legal team comes in to see how you can benefit. So for example, if you're a developer and you may not have the marketing reach or the skill set to really put your game out there in front of the masses, right? Then you might want to consider having a publisher to help you out with that. Okay, so now that we have a big overview of the games industry and the kind of companies out there, right? I want to talk about what kind of roles there are. And typically, at least in Singapore and I believe globally, games development is stereotypically divided into 3 core pillars. And these pillars sometimes they are in a diploma or a degree. So you have like a diploma in game art, diploma in game design, games programming, right? So a lot of times, like they want to focus on these because like the people that are hiring the most are the AAA companies. You're talking about like very big companies that always hire, constantly hire, always need to hire. So a lot of these schools, they want to focus on specializations so that people can get a job in there. But as you know, for startups, maybe that may be different, right? For startups, you may need to wear several hats. So I think just to expand on just these 3 pillars alone, these are the many, many different kinds of roles that you can find yourself. So for game art, you have 2D artists. So you're the one that's creating the 2D assets. You're the 3D artist, or you're the concept artist. When you talk about leads, or like directors, they are more of like either managerial roles or director roles that oversee the team and maybe set the vision as well. Under 3D, there's even more. There's rigger, there's animator, there's modeler, and then also apart from the character modeling, there's also cinematics, right? There's visual effects, your VFX. And then sometimes between these categories, there's some overlap. So for example, I would say like a technical artist is an overlap between game art and programming, because like a lot of technical art requires code to kind of generate the VFX, right? You can't just, I mean, it depends on the game. You can draw the sprites for it, but other times you would need code to generate the particles, right? And even under programming, it's not just about gameplay programming, right? There's like backend, there's server programming, there's AI programmer, and then there's also the designer, which you can talk about systems design. So like the game designer and the programmer, like they kind of work together for the systems design. And especially for games that are free to play or have non-premium models, you have this thing called monetization design. So these are designers that are specifically looking at how the game can monetize from players, whether it's gacha or loot boxes, whether it's like in-app purchases and stuff. And also in game design, there's level design, gameplay design, UI UX design, and even narrative design, where there's like a lot of relationship between the writer, as well as the game designers. So just under these three pillars itself, there are many, many, many different kinds of roles that you can look at. Now, I want to say that it's not just these three pillars. Okay, there's so much more. So let's set the three pillars aside for a bit. And then you have people like me that do game audio, right? Whether it's sound design, composer, just now I mentioned writing. You have admin, QA, HR, all your business administration stuff. Also very important in the games industry. Publishing, incubation, analyst, right? Studio manager, business development, and especially the reason why I'm bringing out all these roles is because when you first start your startup or you're developing as a solo, right? Maybe these things don't come across your mind. How important it is to get a business developer to really chart the success of your games, and really see where in the market it can stand out and find opportunities. And then let's talk about even community management. Like once your game is out there, who is the one that's going to be answering all the queries, the questions, the reviews, right? And talking to the press and the journalists as well. And then there's also the producer and then the project manager, right? So it is quite, I personally feel like project management producer is quite underestimated. Like who's the one that's setting the milestones, making sure that, okay, if the scope is too big, what can we scope down on? How do we do our best to meet this deadline, right? And also ensure the health, general mental health, physical health, and the well-being and the communication between you and your teammates. So I've seen a lot of companies, maybe they start up and they make this game, and after a while they just fall apart because like either they overscoped and they have to do all they can to meet their deadline, which means that they crunch, and then all their health and mental health suffers, and even the relationships between the teammates don't really work out as well. So like these soft skills, and I wouldn't even call them soft skills anymore. I would call them essential skills to the game development production pipeline, right? R&D and even journalism, those folks really important to get your game out there also. Like a piece, any piece in the press about your game can make or break the opportunities that you get. And of course, there's AR, VR, MR. So especially as mobile developers, you might want to explore AR, MR, that sort of stuff. And what else? Community. Yep. So community is also what I'm partially doing. So the disclaimer is that even though I run community, is all pro bono, but there are paid positions. So for example, in SGGA, we have a couple of staff that are like that are responsible for executing a lot of the stuff that the Exco, aka myself and my team, are planning. So really a lot. Now I can tell you where there's a huge lag. Okay, so this analysts analyst is something, because the thing is that when people think about games industry, they just think about production. So I think people that do business administration or like even HR, legal, they don't think about games as an industry because it seems to be on a silo. And we want to break that, right? We want the games industry to be a lot more far reaching in the ecosystem so that people can find overlaps. So whether you're in finance, analyst, business, administrative stuff, right? Even admin, can always consider joining the games industry. And it's very hard to find because you not only just need to be good in your craft, right, in business admin and analytics and stuff, right, you also need to be well versed in the games industry. Okay, so that's huge. I hope it's not too much, but it gives you an insight on like all the different job roles that are available in the games industry beyond just development. Now, I want to talk about networking and opportunities. Like, where do you find your opportunities? Where do you network? Where do you gain knowledge? And I would say there's no better place to start than game conferences and trade shows. And the great thing about conferences and trade shows is that a lot of times you get people from overseas joining as well. So I feel like sometimes regardless of which country you're in, it's quite important to be exposed to a global market, especially when you're making your game for the global market, right? So in these circles, they represent the locality of it. So in Singapore, we have Gamescom Asia, and then the outer circle, we have those in Asia. Right, so you have your Tokyo Game Show, you have Game Prime in Indonesia, you have G Star in Korea, BIC in Korea as well, Taipei Game Show in Taiwan, China Joy in China, Bit Summit in Japan, the Level Up KL in Malaysia. So a lot of these serve different needs and purposes. So like I would say like Tokyo Game Show versus Bit Summit. Even though both of them are in Japan, Tokyo Game Show is a lot more triple A centric. Like a lot of the big names, their Sony's and their Square Enixes, whatever games that they are showcasing there, it's meant to attract a huge crowd of both B2B and B2C. So I think for those that are not familiar with the terms B2B and B2C, right? B2C means that is business to client, means that the attraction of your exhibit is meant to attract future players, consumers that will buy your game. So the big companies like Square Enix and all that, they want to promote their game and really hype up the public to buy their game. Now B2B is business to business. So if you're like, let's say, looking for publishers or investors or like game services, this is considered business to business. It's more of a trade perspective. So Tokyo Game Show is all about that, B2C and B2B. Bit Summit is very indie centric. So Bit Summit recognizes the artistic value and the creativity and the community of the indie game scene, and they celebrate that at Bit Summit. So there's a few others. So China Joy also really like epically huge. And I can't even begin to say how huge it is. I think there are like 7 huge expo halls or something. And like it's also similar to Tokyo Game Show, quite B2C centric, which also has a B2B element. Taipei Game Show, there is both B2C and B2B, but I normally go for B2B, and it's held every year in January or so. BIC, also similar to Bit Summit, focuses more on indie companies. G Star, similar to Tokyo Game Show, focuses more on the big names as well as trade, right? And then there's also Game Prime. Game Prime is similar to Level Up KL. They both have actually it's mostly correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, later. But like these two have both B2C and B2B components, but they are a lot more localized in the sense that Game Prime, for example, is maybe focus a lot more on the local Indonesian community to celebrate their own games, right? And Level Up KL as well. Even though Level Up KL, sometimes they have overseas speakers as well. So these trade shows may or may not have conferences. By conferences, I mean like seminars or workshops. Sometimes they invite overseas speakers to come down to share about a topic, a lot of knowledge sharing. Sometimes they will talk about like how do you get your game published, what is it like running an indie studio, what is it like working in triple A, all this kind of stuff. Okay, and then we finally have the global ones. So the global ones, there's Gamescom, which is normally held in Germany, and then there's a Game Connection, which is both in, if I'm not wrong, in France and in US as well. And there's PAX. So PAX has many locations in US. They have in Australia as well. GDC, Game Developers Conference, which their biggest selling point is really the conference, even though they have a trade show. WN is focused on mobile games, very trade focused. Indicate is for indie games, and then there's EGX, and then there's Free Play. So Free Play and GCAP, both of these are in Australia. GCAP focuses on the conferences part of it. Free Play focuses on a very interesting niche, which is art games. Games that have very strong artistic value. They may not even consider commercializing. People just make games for art. So there's many different kinds of conferences out there. So pick and choose which one is useful for you. A lot of times, especially those trade centric B2B ones, there are business matching systems where you can go online and book a meeting with some of the companies out there. So your own company will be on that database, and then people can book meetings with you, and then you can just chat. So usually it's like a speed dating kind of thing. Like maybe you fill up your entire schedule of meetings, and then each meeting may last from 15 to 30 minutes. And if you both see and like each other, and you see that you can benefit each other business wise, then you can take it off to email to continue the conversation. So that's how trade conferences typically work, right? And of course, um, seeing as to how COVID has affected a lot of things, before COVID, the networking is really fun. Like usually there are after parties, or people just meet up and chat and have very organic conversations. So that's where a lot of the magic happens, where you can form meaningful connections to either find collaborators, or really people to publish your game or invest in your game. So there's different ways. You either go the speed dating route, or you can do more organic networking. And of course, the conferences are very huge, like a lot of people, very international. There are smaller communities and organizations, very local ones. So, for example, there's my own one, Singapore Games Association, which is a trade association. And there's GDEP, that's the Trade Association in Philippines. And of course, Adam is from AGI, which is the Game Association of Indonesia. Now, IGDA is a global community. It stands for International Game Developers Association. So every country may have a chapter and so on. So, for example, there's IGDA Malaysia, there's IGDA Singapore, IGDA Japan, IGDA Taiwan. So these are very global communities that have their own local chapters. And in the Australia, IGEA is their trade association for games. So it's important to know your local association, because I understand sometimes conferences can be a bit intimidating, especially if you go alone. So a really good place to start and get to know your other fellow devs from your local country, right, is to attend all these community meetups that these organizations are arranging. So I'm sure a lot of these you will see them maybe either have monthly, weekly, quarterly meetups. Just go and get to know your people, right? And learn from each other. Maybe you might even work on a game together. Okay, then I want to talk about opportunities to work on games, right? So like I think game jams, which are hackathons, maybe short period of time when you quickly make a game or something, right? Really good opportunity to get started if you don't know where to start, because these usually maybe come with a theme. So in like if you find that you have a creative block, or you don't have a dream game you want to make, a theme is a great challenge to like really push yourself. And because of the short time frame, you are forced to see what you're capable of. You don't have time, especially for some of you may be procrastinators, or like you don't feel the groove, right? Game jams are great because you have no choice but to get up and do it. Okay, so I think Apps Up is a really good example, right? Apps Up is like a competition, right, where you can there are prizes, and there are different categories. So at least there are like different goals that you can try to meet. Okay, and then also there's Game Makers Toolkit, there's Heritage Game Jam, which is a local Singapore one. Both Global Game Jam and Ludum Dare, they are global game jams. So it's really quite something to know that you are making this game within 48 hours with everybody else around the world, and then you can see what you come up with. So typically these games, you don't immediately think of earning money from it, right? With the exception of longer competitions like Apps Up, because Apps Up, you want to have a business angle and stuff like that. But usually a lot of these game jams, they are very short, 24 to 48 hours. You just want to jam, see what you make from the team, and then what happens after the jam, you decide. So there are some really great games that are from game jams. So I think what is it? Octodad is from a game jam. Surgeon Simulator is from a game jam, right? A few others, I think Goat Simulator, if I'm not wrong. So you can get really great ideas, especially if you are facing a creative block to do game jam. And um, the whole point about game jams is to learn how to do it fast, fail fast, and then you learn fast. So I think, yeah, game jams I would strongly recommend, and also network with people that are in the game jam as you. Okay, so now let's talk about the mobile games that I personally love. Um, for me, right, I consider myself an overall gamer. Like I play console, I play PC, I play mobile. But I think for mobile games, I have a specific type. That's because if I really wanted a very exhilarating game experience, I would play on my PC. Uh, because my PC my PC is quite rigged up. Like it's quite souped up. So I want to play games that really push that boundary, so that I can feel good playing it. But for mobile, the times when I play games is times when I'm not in front of the computer screen. Obviously, I'm lying down in my bed or I'm snoozing on the couch or I'm in the park. So for me personally, I feel like mobile games have a huge opportunity to make use of that um, the whole thing about not needing to be in front of a screen or confined, especially work from home, where sometimes your computer that you play on and the computer that you work on is like the same thing. So to me, mobile games that I want to play is complete disengagement. It's like reading a book. So these are the three mobile games that I really love. Florence, which is made in Australia. It's really a very short experience that you play that explores a relationship between this couple, and they have really a lot of interesting game mechanics. They put very conventional puzzle mechanics to have to completely relate to relationship problems, relationship issues, and stuff like that. So in terms of UI UX, right, Florence, really really good. It got editor's choice in the App Store. And then there's a True Love self-care app by True Love. Self-care app is really an app that checks in with you to like see whether what's your mental state of being right now. And I feel that this is really important because like generally a lot of games, when we see mobile games, like truth be told, even Genshin Impact, for example, a lot of them they focus on feelings of competitiveness, feelings of fear, feelings of excitement, acceleration, adrenaline, right? When you see a lot of games being marketed, that's what they show you, like, oh, get play with your friends, get top score and all that. But deep inside, I know that um competitiveness is fun, but it also increases anxiety. Now this has been scientifically proven, right? It increases anxiety and like all that kind of constantly on the edge thing. It builds up over time. So I think it's really interesting to me that some games are exploring other forms of human condition, like compassion, care, relaxation, as gamification models rather than the usual fear, shock, or FOMO in like challenges and competitiveness. So self-care app is like between a game and an app, like checks in with you, but also has game elements. And then there's Tsuki Adventure as well, which is made in Singapore. I didn't expect that I would love it, but it's actually really cool. And I think especially for us as burnt out people, right? And maybe in the industry or the work environment, we are not doing jobs that we love or we love them, but we are still very burnt out by it. Tsuki Adventure is really relaxing. It's a story about how this bunny literally gets like I said, gets burnt out from work, decides to live on his grandfather's farmhouse that was left behind for him, and just chill out and just relax. And the game doesn't require you to spend hours on it. You just check in maybe every 2 hours or so, check in to see what your bunny is doing. Every time you check in, your bunny is doing something different. Either it's relaxing or it's fishing or it's like flying a kite. And then the game model of it is like really as you check in, sometimes your bunny will discover new things, new collectibles that you can find charming details about their life and stuff like that lah. Unlock new locations. So it's very not intrusive to your life. You just check in whenever you feel like it. And surprisingly, it has 1 million plus downloads. on Google Play Store. This is not even talking about other stores, right? So it shows how much people crave for these kind of experiences of just relaxing and collecting stuff. So I want to make a point about diversity, like diverse games. So before we even talk about diverse teams, we want to talk about why diverse games are important. Because like um as somebody who actually personally loves shooter games, like I'm playing Division 2. I grew up playing first person shooters like Team Fortress and like Overwatch and like playing Valorant and stuff. I do love, I get it, I get that adrenaline is great, like when you feel like you have a hard day, you just want to shoot it out and all that. But perhaps you want to examine many other different kinds of games that explore the your different sides of you that's beyond just that need for adrenaline, right? And maybe you want to talk about serotonin, maybe you want to talk about other kinds of relaxing chemical juju brain stuff, that really explores you as a person. And I'm when I talk about diverse games, I'm not saying that the typical shooter games or violent games or very quick games, they're bad. They're great. But there's really a lot of them out there in the market. If you want to make a business case, you want to explore something that you know that people actually secretly want, but there's not enough out there. So can we get more Florences? Can we get more Tsuki Adventures, more self-care apps, all these things that explore different conditions of the human uh, range of emotions and feelings? I think that would be great. And that leads me to diversity, right? Because I think a lot of us, when we grow up, we are exposed to a certain kind of game. And other people with different life backgrounds and life circumstances, they will bring many, many different experiences, right? I'm not just talking about gender or ethnicity, because sometimes when you think about diversity, right, D&I, right, it's always about, oh, gender, it's about race and all that. But this is really way, way more than that. The whole reason why gender and race matters is because the main thing is these people come from very different experiences. And as long as you keep that in mind, right, I think your game will actually have very fresh perspectives that you as a person may be limited by based on your own personal experience. And I think before I end off, I want to show you, this is the Newzoo report of like demographics of gamers, right? And I want you to consider all these different demographics that when you make your game or you make your app, you need to think about your target audience and stuff, right? So if your target audience like is typically like male, of like maybe like the 21 to 25, middle income, all these kind of things, right? Think about the others that you're missing out on. What is the audience that you're not capturing, and how do you make a game or app that captures these audience? Even you just talk about male versus female, right? There are like nearly 50% of gamers are women, right? And even more as the years go by. I think in other platforms it's like already surpassed. So aside from all these things, right, age, gender, income, work situation, home situation, think about the different kinds of gamer profiles that you want to reach out to. Do you want to reach out to those that explore, that are explorers? Do you want to reach out to those that are social gamers that play because they want to meet new people, they want to play with their friends? Do you want to address those that love competition or perfectionism? So when you make your game, just consider this and the need to have diverse teams to make your diverse games. Okay, so I will end off with that. Thank you very much. So you can reach me out on Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gwen. Yeah, I particularly like the topic on diversity because for one, I also grew up playing games that just invoke like competitiveness and perfectionism. So the three games that you shared, I guess it really touched my heart, and I think that would be games that I'll probably be looking into. Yeah. And I think just one tip that Gwen has subtly shared for people who are looking to develop games and what she's looking out for is that perhaps games that fall into this category that is unique might be where you can compete as HMS core innovation. So this is something that you can actually think about. Now, without further ado, I think we would be able to go for a short video break of 5 minutes. We will be playing a video for you to enjoy. But if you need to run to the loo, you can do so. And we would be back here in 5 minutes time. And then we would have Adam, who would be introducing Unity and HMS Core Kit integration. So we'll see you back here in 5 minutes.
Hello everyone, I'm Shai, the director of APEC Huawei Consumer Cloud Service. Apps App 2021 is Huawei HMS App Innovation Contest, and is running for the second year in APEC. Compete for a prize pool worth USD 200K and make your app stand out in front of 730 million Huawei global smartphone users. In Huawei, we believe in building a fully inclusive digital society where technology is for everyone. This year for Apps App 2021, we have 2 times more award categories with new awards for our student developers, for the ladies, and for budding developers new to Huawei mobile ecosystem.
From now till August, all mobile app developers, whether you are a professional, hobbyist, or a student, are invited to submit an app and compete with talented developers across APEC. If you have an existing app or great idea to create a new one, you only need to integrate it with HMS Core Kit to participate in the contest. Apps App can also be a launchpad to bring your apps to market faster with all-round support for release in Huawei App Gallery.
My name is Jojo Flores and I am the co-founder of Plug and Play Tech Center, which I started in Silicon Valley in 2006.
Hi, I'm Israel, the co-founder and vice president of Thai Programmer Association.
Hi, I'm Adam Adisasmita, CEO and founder of Arsanesia, a mobile game development company, and Arsa Kids, an education game development for early childhood. Apps App is the chance for developers to jumpstart their career, so developers and startups should get excited. It provides you with rewards and exposures, mentorships, and resources for you to grow.
App App will help you developer in your mobile app development journey, as I believe it enables fast tech app branch that develop and exceed your limitation. This contest also help you to enrich your skill, and it is a great chance to understand the HMS ecosystem and HMS API with official staff advisory. You should consider to expanding to more app store because you can tap into bigger user base. Each app store have its own characteristic and target group, with characteristic, unique user, and personality.
I'd like to see solutions with creative approaches in solving real problems, as well large addressable market sizes. Finally, how they will tackle user acquisition and engagement.
I encourage all developers and startups to be HMS ready.
Get opportunity for you to reduce skill and shine with creative idea to the world.
I very much look forward to discover new innovation coming out of the Huawei App Innovation Contest.
Turn your app ideas into reality with Huawei. Together, we can make a change and progress towards better lives.
Join Apps App, be HMS ready, and make the best app win.
All right. Hey everyone. So we're live at I think 3 different channels today. One from Huawei Developer Group's APEC, one from SDGA, and one from Asia. Good afternoon. Today I'm going to share about the integrating HMS into your game and publish it to App Gallery using UDP with Unity. So, as introduced before, my name is Adam Marisa Smita. I'm founder of Arsanesia and Arsa Kids, also Intel Innovator. I'm now vice president of AGI and also create content, blog and podcast and YouTube video. And later on, if you want to connect with me or have any more to ask, you can connect in Twitter or my Instagram at Ardisas. And right now, I'm playing these 4 games. If you know, the ones is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and the other is Subnautica. So when I'm on my PlayStation, I play that 2 games, and when I'm on my Switch, I play. It's a quite popular indie games created by only one person, Stardew Valley. And when I'm on mobile, actually, I never play either Dota or any MOBA games before. I tried this game, Mobile Legend, at first for research only. As I'm a mobile developer, so I do research and what's popular, and then got hooked by the game. So right now, almost every day I play Mobile Legends. So this is 4 of my game playing. I play today. The similarity of the first 3 games is like I play it to have a relaxing time. So I'm playing open world games like Assassin's Creed only to finish a lot of side quests. So I've been playing for a lot of hours, but never touched the end of the main quest. And I like Subnautica because I thought the game is like relaxing, but it turned out a little bit of horror because you dive into the darkness of the sea and see a lot of monster inside. And I like game like Stardew Valley where you can just escape from your reality. And sometimes when I get a little bit stressed and when to channel it out, I play Mobile Legend and beat a lot of people. Okay, so to give you a little bit of context, since I also will be the judge for the competition, in my company, we focus on 3 things. One is we create casual mobiles. We also do gamification, and we do education games. So I'm looking for maybe fun, cute, and simple casual mobile games. Maybe if you want to make some competitive games, that also really interesting. And if you have any idea about gamification, something that maybe it's kind of boring to do, but you want to add some games element inside to make it more fun, like learn about the financial literacy, learn about mental health literacy, but you do it using games. That's what I do every day. And I also make games for children, especially the early childhood. So if you have existing games or you will have any ideas to make one, that's also quite good ideas also. So, and also I want to introduce a little bit about AGI. This is the association focusing on game developers and game publishers, founded in 2013. I'm the vice president for 5 years until 2024. And our focus is I know there's a lot of challenge like chicken and egg problem between talent and business. So we try to break the chain, how to get more publisher and investors coming to not only in Indonesia, but in the region, how to help government, academics, and industry to make either regulation or program. And the last is to lower the barrier for talents to go into the industry. We have a lot of programs, but I'm not going to talk all of them. So later on, you can DM me if you're interested to be part or to participate in some of the program. And I want to promote this podcast. It's a collaboration between AGI and Goethe Institute. It's called Press Start. It's talking about the journey from my guests, the game developer, how they start, what are the obstacles. And I think Gwen should be the next guest. So prepare, Gwen. I'm going to PM you to talk into this podcast too. All right. So before we talk about the technical side, I'm going to talk about Unity and all of it. I need to give you a little bit of disclaimer. First, even though I was graduate from IT, from ITB, now I think I haven't touched code. I still open Unity, but to build and to maybe tweak some parameter. But mostly I'm a business guy, but background is in IT. And in all of the presentation that I'm going to share, I haven't tried everything. So maybe there's something that works and maybe some not. And yeah, I still new with the tech and environment. So the point is, let's learn together. I'm still learning, and let's learn together as a community. There are four parts that I'm gonna share about the content for today regarding the setup, the integration, and the distribution. And our goal is like for today, we will learn how to do registration and how to set up the Unity environment, and then how to do the development and a bit of like highlight about the HMS core, which is related to the game. And then the last part, we'll talk about the distributing into the platform, into the app gallery. Okay, so bear with me. First is registration. I know maybe it's kind of simple and it's just a registration, but once you jump into it, the same like if you want to register into Google Play or App Store, there's some part that you need to aware of. In this case, if you want to register to Huawei, there's a two option. One is individual and the other one is enterprise. And there's some feature unlock if you register as enterprise, but you can also do as individual. So that's something that you need to be note. And the most important thing, I know a lot of game developers are deadliners. Maybe you want to try it like in the last week or last 2 days before deadline. I want to tell you that there's some step that need time. It's verification. So you need to verify yourself when you register. You need to submit your ID card and bank account, and it took maybe like two days to validate. And I already tried. They really check. So I tried to put a different ID card with my name, and it's rejected. So make sure you verify accordingly. And after you verified as Huawei developers, you can basically create a project. It's the same step with either Google Play or App Store. You can create a project, create an app, and then you will get like the package name, the app ID, API key, and so on. Okay, that's it for the registration. So take note that there will be a verification process, and make sure you create it long before the deadline, because if everyone is create this account near the deadline, and maybe it took longer than 1 or 2 days. Next is the Unity setup. So I'm assuming all of you already familiar with the Unity, so I'm not going to talk about the how to download Unity and so on. So in Unity, you have a asset store, and Huawei and Unity have an official plugin you can download. It's Huawei HMS AGC service. So it's not only Huawei mobile service, there are also app gallery core service that you can also integrate into your app. And then after that, you just import the plugin, the package into your project. And if you're also familiar with Unity, the default is like the build is for PC, Macs, and Linux. Don't forget to switch the platform, because HMS is Android based. So what you need to do is switch this into the Android and make sure you can build APK as the output. And then on the publishing settings, there's a lot of custom checklist that you need to check, like custom main manifest, launcher manifest, and so on. And noted that if you use version 2019.2 or before, there's a different step to implement and configuration. So make sure you check the documentation. But if you use version the latest version, I think you just tick the checklist. And then it's the same with the Google Play. You need also create a store key, and then add on, there will be a certificate fingerprint, And last thing is package name. It's like the same. You put your company name, you put your product name, and the version. And make sure if you update your games, you need to also increase the version control for your build. And later on in the app gallery dashboard, you can checklist which the API that you use to make sure it will be connected. Okay, that's the setup for the account, Huawei account, and for the Unity environment. Now let's talk about develop. Like I mentioned before, the main rules for you to compete in the competition, you need to integrate the HMS into your existing games or your new ideas. So these are the package that you will get. You get a lot of package inside of the Unity plugin. There is a HMS and then AGC service. On HMS, there's a game service kit. There's a lot of thing over there, and then also ads kit for monetization, analytics, localization kit, and push kit. This already provided for you to use. And there's also AGC capabilities that you can also try. There's app linking. There's also remote configuration if you want to change the parameter from your games on the fly. And there's a lot of thing over there. And for today, I'm going to focus introducing the game service kit because I think it's the most relevant for game developers, and maybe not every point, maybe just on top of it. So the first one is like, this is, I think, the most important thing is like sign in with Huawei ID. If you want to use any other services from the game service kit, this is the one that you need to integrate. I think it's like the same with the Google Play account or Apple ID. So you need to you have a capability to sign in with Huawei ID. And the second API, I think this is the most interesting part. I'm not sure if we can use it in outside of mainland China, but there's a feature that I really love. It's a game addiction prevention. It can help you first validate whether the user is a minor or an adult, and then you can track the duration of the games. So you can set for example, on weekend, minor can play more than 5 hours, but on weekday they only can play for 3 hours playing games. And I think this is a very good API if you want to try to tweak around. And there's also a game service kit called Floating Window, and this will open Game Center. Game Center is like an app gallery, but focusing on game. There's also like where you can discuss on a forum, and you can, as a developer, you can share gift to the player and so on. And the second achievement, I think this is a very important feature if you have a game, especially something that you can do inside, maybe like collecting item, fighting monsters. You can give the user some of like rewards by giving them achievements, and you can use the API and integrate into your game that's already provided. And then events. Now, I think this is one of the most important thing, not only for the competition, but also for the success for your game, is that you need to track the events inside your games. What is an event? Event is like, for example, where is the most place the player died, for example. So you can adjust. Maybe this spot is too difficult, or maybe what kind of item that is really popular and everyone is buy this item. So you can tweak around the item, and you can create a custom event with the event from the game service kit, and you can track it later on the dashboard. I think it's very helpful, and I think this is something that you have to integrate into your games, whether you are building it for competition or you want to succeed in the market. You need to know how your game is performed using this tracking event. And there are also leaderboards, and you can create your own leaderboard UI. So you can create up to 70 leaderboards. I think that's much. So you can create 70 leaderboards, and you can create specific filter. What are the parameter that you want to compare with the others and the players around the user. And the other, you can have a save. So if the user playing your games on the mobile and then they change into the tablet, they can still have their save games synchronized. And the other one is, I think it's quite interesting. There are also a player statistic, and I'm not sure if you can read it. I think it's too small, but you can track like the average duration of session in the past 12 months, or number of days since last played, or you can also see the spending rank of the player. Do they have no spending at all, spending less than $10, spending between 10 on and $50? And what you will do with these statistics, you can customize or tailor some experience specifically or targetly to the cluster of the player. For example, you want to give a push notification to player who haven't spent at all, or you have a like in-game pop-up for a player who have spent more than $1,000, for example, because maybe they're looking for more expensive stuff. And there is also access to the basic information if you want to grab like the app ID, name, and description to show it inside your game. Okay, so don't worry, there's already an example on the GitHub, so you can download in the GitHub Unity Technology Huawei Service sample. There will be a code for you on how to use all the API, not only the HMS but also the AGC services. All right, and the last thing, after you integrate that feature API into your games, next is to distribute. So I'm not sure, have you ever heard like about the Unity distribution portal? As actually, if you want to distribute directly to App Gallery, you can do that also. But Unity provide simple APK management or build management system for you. It's called UDP. So it serves not only one app store, but a lot of app stores from Samsung, Galaxy Store, One Store, Me, Get Apps, and also Huawei App Gallery. So using this, you can create one build, and then you can distribute it easily to across different kind of stores. For you that already built a lot of games, you know that it's really hard to update a lot of package. For if you want to update, maybe you want to update the SDK for your apps library, or if you want to update something, you need to go into each store and you need to update manually, and you need to make sure you didn't put the wrong build into the store also. So using the UDP, the process will be very much shorter and easier. So what you need to do is like, first you go to the UDP portal, you can create your account, and then you can create a new game. And after that, there's gonna be a questionnaire for you. You can skip it if you don't want to use it. But this is like the question, like which store are you specifically aiming for example. And then does your game monetization using premium price or in-app purchases or ads? And this is also like the game's meta, and then the distribution region, and also the timing, when will you going to distribute it. And after you finish all of the question, you will get a game plan, a checklist like this. This is the recommendation based on your answer. This is the store that they recommend you to go. Like they have top 1, top 2, and top 3, and they also give you the reason why you should aiming that store. And this is the checklist that you want to do. There's a thing that you need to finish inside the UDP portal, like set up the UDP in the Unity editor and upload the APK, and then you need to fill in the distribution region. You need to fill in the description, and then there's also something that you need to do in the Huawei App Gallery also. You can just go with the the checklist and then the guide. And then after that, you can link it with your Huawei App Gallery at first that we already set up, and done. You can easily after this you can easily put the game on that platform using the UDP. So that is the process from registration, Unity setup, development, and distribution in the Unity environment. One last thing, I want to give you my tips, because me myself since 2000 and I think 2009, I'm a bounty hunter. So for every competition, I will try to join it and win it. So I remember once in my college, I already have like I'm around like 1,200,000 $1,200 from winning competition for students. And if I'm not become the judge, I'm pretty sure I'm going also to join this competition. But yeah, you guys have one less competitors here because I cannot join the competition because I'm the judge. So here's my tip for you to win this competition. First, learn the scoring criteria of the competition, because its competition is different. Some value more on the tech advancement, how you use the API. Some text more on the business side. Have you already have a customer? What is your retention number? Something like that. And many of them scores on the innovation. And from what I'm seeing in the judging criteria, the apps up is more looking for the innovation. Yeah, the name is Apps Innovation Contest. So yeah, it's pretty clear they're looking for innovation. That's mean you need to combine between how you use the tech and how it will impact the business side. So make sure your apps or your games go into that criteria. And the second one, create something unique and stand out because there will be tons of submission. So you need maybe like a secret sauce to make your app or game special, or maybe a catchy tagline or name. Because I'm pretty sure whatever you're thinking right now, there will be other person thinking the same thing. So you need to make sure your name is not generic, your name is not or you can have like a catchy tagline. For example, what we do is like we make something like Facebook but better, or like you can do something like I don't know, something like uniquely, maybe specifically like for example in Indonesia there's a games called Ron Tofu. I think that's a quite unique name for a game. You can find something like that to make sure judges remember your games by the name and the tagline. And not only that, I see a lot of in a competition when I judge, a lot of submission try to cover a lot of things. Like they want to have a lot of features, they want to have a lot of things to work inside their games. So they think like if they check all of the category, like in Huawei apps up, there will be like for the social impact, for the tech advancement, for the a lot of category, and you want to create one for all. I think that's going to be hard, especially when we only have 2 months to develop the products. I think it's better for you to focus on 1 or 2 minimum viable products, and then polish it and make it beautiful, make it nice and easy to use, make it visually pleasing. I think like if you have 2 months, maybe you spend 1 month to build the feature and the other months you spend to polish the game to make it really shines. And then this is also important. I know we are game developers and we like to work under the deadline, but don't be deadliner. If you can have your first build on the app gallery as fast as possible, I think that would be great. And you can update it later, but make sure you have all the environment, all the setups is ready long before the deadline. And the last from me is don't just aim for the prize. I think this event is like the opportunity for you to connect with the judges, with also the other competitors. I think this is also a platform for you to get recognized by Huawei. And don't look this competition only for you to get like 15K money, but look this as a gateway for you to build your career and expand your businesses. Because 10 years ago, when I was joining competition like this with Nokia, of course I win the prize, but the person who works at Nokia, the person who also won the competition, is now become my mentor, become my business partner, become my client. So look at this competition as a milestone for you to move forward as app developers and game developers in the future. I think that's it for me. Go back to you, Mel.
All right. Thank you, Adam, for breaking down the available services and kits for our developers. So now we also have Gwen back on screen. If you have any questions for him, for Adam, or for Gwen, now is the time that you can drop them in the comment box for our Ask Me Anything session. Okay, so I think the team has already collected some questions that we have gotten from each platform earlier on. So let's see, what do we have for them? Question number 1. What do you think is better to add in games for monetization? In-app purchases or ads? Now, let's see who wants to take this question.
Okay, I'll do first. So I think it depends on the genre of the game. Some fit more with ads only, some fit more with the in-app purchase only, and some need to combine both of them. For example, if you play hyper casual games like Helix Jump or like Aqua.io and something like that, they thrive with ads because I think a lot of revenue. I think some of my colleague working on hyper casual, they mentioned 70% of their revenue is come from ads. But if you're talking about games like for example Mobile Legend or PUBG Mobile, something like that, they usually have more revenue in-app purchases. And some, like if you saw like more like a mid-core game like Heyday, Clash of Clans, I think combining both is the best option. So I think there's no like the best way. The best way I think is the model that fit with your genre. How about you, Gwen?
Yeah, I agree with you, and also to really look at your target audience and what their player habits. So, for example, it's not just a matter of which is better, yes or no. It's how you do it. So, Tsuki Adventure has both. They have both ads and also in-app purchases. But they're very strategic on where they place their ads, especially when you're talking about a relaxing game. I think you need to make the ads as not intrusive as possible to break the flow of what people are feeling, because I think you don't want people to get so irritated with the ads that they don't play the game anymore. So there's that fine balance, of where exactly you choose to put your ads. And then there are other models. So for example, I play a lot of Wordscapes, which is like an anagram crossword puzzle thing. They You get hooked on the game, and then there's ads, and then after you pay a one-time fee. Like you pay a one-time fee to just remove the ads completely. So there's another monetization model. So yeah, like I said, it's not as simple as like yes or no, but your target audience, what are their player habits, where do you place your ads and stuff like that will be quite important.
Okay, so I think these are really good tips for developers who are still thinking about how to make money from your game. All right, do we have a next question? Okay, any experience where you have used analytics to improve game levels?
Gwen, you want to answer first?
Yeah, okay. So I because I'm an audio person, I haven't really been inside the production, but I can tell from experience is that if you're asking specifically about game levels, it means that it's about game design. and it's about a lot of testing. So I think in terms of analytics, it's about getting that data from your QA testers, like no matter how many QA testers or anecdotal experience, right, to kind of change your level design. So for example, if you feel like, okay, at what point at this level do people start to give up or start to feel frustrated, versus how long are they spending on this level? Is this the ideal amount of time you want them to spend on the level? I think this is quite important. And like apart from game levels, even just now the question we talk about monetization or ads or in-app purchases, right? Analytics can be useful to show, okay, what is the drop off rate of your players? Like at what point do they get irritated at your ads? Then you need to consider where to put your ads. So I think in terms of analytics, a lot of times it's about testing, a lot of testing, and there are platforms and organizations out there that can help a lot with analytics. So I think Huawei itself has an analytics tool that you can examine, and then there's also other services like GTR, Global Top Round. They have this software called G Round that you also get on, and then you can get a lot of people to bulk test as well and get your results, so you can iterate quickly from that.
Yeah. I think I'm agree. So I will give you an example where analytics play a very, very essential point of your games. There's a game that we developed. It's called Summertown, and we have a feature inside it. It's more like a simulation game where you can decorate your house, you can customize your avatar, you can do mini games, and one of the mini games is fishing. When we're designing the fishing features, we want to try to look on different approach, like other than like the usual fishing where you just wait for the fish to cut the bait and then you caught it. We use a more like tap and rhythm game based model for fishing. When the developers we try to tweak it, balance it, we think that
Oh dear. Adam's internet.
That happens. Okay.
Am I disconnected?
For a while, you're talking about fishing.
All right. So sorry. So yeah. So based on the analytic, turns out the feature that we have planned on the next sprint, we want to delay it. It turns out very popular. So it saves us a lot of time and cost to rework the features by using analytics. So I think this is the most important thing you need to have as a game developers inside your games.
Okay, thank you for the answers, Adam and Gwen. And I see one more question coming in. Shall we bring that on screen? Okay. Yep. Okay. Maybe I'll just read out that question. So we've got a question from one of the students who commented, saying that she's a student and doesn't have any contest experience. So how would apps up, or like I think you guys have already mentioned, like joining game jams or game competitions help in their portfolio. So perhaps we can take this chance to just reiterate and summarize what we have shared earlier.
Adam, this is your show, man. You're a serial competition.
Yes. So as a student, I think you need to find as many as possible competition, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But when you lose, I think there's also something that you also can gain. Usually, when there's no COVID, there's also some part of the competition when you need to pitch it to the judge and they will give you a comment regarding your apps. The feedbacks, it will be valuable not only for your portfolio but also for your knowledge and skills, right? But don't stop there. For my experience, what I did after I get rejected, I approached the judge. I asked for the numbers or maybe the card, and I emailed them about what do you think we can improve on or from these games. And later on, I don't know. The thing for me is like I want to build connection with the person who already saw my games, and I want them to be some kind of my mentor. And maybe not in this competition, maybe in the next competition or next event when I saw the judges again, I can remind them, hey, do you remember me? I'm the one who you reject before. And sometime from the conversation, it can build a good network and connection. So I think not only for your portfolio, your skill, but the most important thing, I think, for the network.
Yeah, I think Adam brought up a very good point about like there's in the games industry there's way more than just portfolio, right? There's like the networks is actually really important as well. So just try to see that as a opportunity to network with people. I mean, yes, the judges and the mentors, but also other people that are taking part, because you never know, you might be working in them in the future, work under them, or they work under you, you know, that kind of thing. So it's important to form that connection. Context experience. Yeah. So apart from just the portfolio, it's really about the learning experience. I think just now I mentioned fail fast and learn fast. So I think Adam also brought out a good point about asking for feedback about your production for the game that you made, and I think that feedback will help you improve quite a bit, because like it's very targeted on what is exactly wrong with your thing. And if competitions are too stressful for you, I actually recommend also like game jams that don't have a judging criteria, or like, you know, don't have a prize or whatever. It's just make the game. So like game jam or Ludendare or something like that, you just make the game so that the only person you are competing with is yourself, and you know your own standards, and then you can see, okay, where are my standards are. So it depends on what you're ready for and your personality as well. I take part in Global Game Jam every year, and it's really fun because the Global Game Jam it really pushes your creativity. If you feel that your issues about creativity and you don't want to be confined by the stress of prizes and competition, then you can just go for Global Game Jam and just make what you love. But if you want to really see how you can improve your game to be how do I say, to be consumer friendly, so that people actually want to play and there's a business case to be made for it, then I recommend a competition actually. Yeah.
Yes, and if you don't plan to, for example, you don't win the competition from Apps Up, and you don't have any plan to reuse the game for another competition, you can also publish it maybe in the store, and you can link the game as a portfolio for you when you're applying in studios, or you want to work as a maybe work for hire. I have create this game before.
Okay, thank you, Adam and Gwen. I think it's really all about trying. All about like going for it and then learning from that as well. And of course, with COVID, it makes it a little bit hard to do networking. But I think I just wanted to add a line to say that I think for joining competitions, or just game jams, those that just incite creativity, it still gives you the opportunity to be noticed. Yeah. So that is still something food for thought for students or budding developers. All right, and I think we still have time for one final question. Let me see. Oh, seems like it's also from a student. So I'm from SP, Singapore Poly Game Design and Development course in my final year. Do you think it's essential to have a degree, or is it more important to have industry experience?
Okay, I guess I can take this. I think it's I don't like the word essential because it means that, oh, you must have it. But I want to say that it's not essential to have a degree, and to some extent even industry experience, because I used to think it was all about experience, like, I can boast about having 10 years experience and still have nothing to show for it. So I think most important is your portfolio and your networks actually. Because like, okay, if even if you have a degree but you don't have any other projects that you have done outside of school, right? How are you going to stand out from everybody else that has a degree? As opposed to you don't have a degree, but you have this portfolio of all the years of game jams that you have done, and it's very clear to whoever's interviewing you that they can see an improvement in the games that you have created. I think that is a lot more valuable in the industry than just a degree, because yeah, anybody can get a degree, but not everybody can clearly show that they have improved over this amount of game jams, right? And have all the actual experience in production, right? Because also a degree does not show your ability um to make a game from start to finish, or like to work with people. And I think nowadays in the games industry, it's very important to showcase that you understand the full production cycle, and you know how to work with people, and you can make a complete game by working with people. Yeah. So I want to say no, but like also there are some exceptions where like if like you're applying for a very big company where the HR is like the HR is very like they get a lot of applications. The moment they see, oh, you don't have degree, then yeah, then they might just like get rid of it. But as Adam mentioned just now, that's why networks are very important. When you want to look for a job, right, you might want to explore not just submitting to HR and stuff like that. Try to network and find somebody who's actually in the company so that they can look at your portfolio and recommend you. Yeah, so those are my tips.
Yeah. Reading from your question, like SP Games Design and Development, I'm assuming that along your course you will get not only game design but also you will learn about game programming and maybe some game arts, right? So this is like the common challenge also in Indonesia. Most of the university will have a game development course. What they do is like they teach you everything, but they teach you like not too deep, so you cannot be maybe like specialize on some role. Like Gwen mentioned before, there is a lot of role in game development. For me, it's also help if you, even though your study learn everything which is good for your knowledge, you need to have like a goal for you, what kind of role you want to be in the game industry. For example, if you want to be a narrative writer, if you need to have like a solid portfolio around that area. So a lot of CV that comes into my company is like you try to apply, for example, for a programmer position, but in your CV and portfolio you also put, I also can do Adobe Photoshop, I can do 3D modeling, something like that, and it's not like not outstanding each of them. So you can do a lot of things but not too outstanding. I think that's good on a managerial level if you have 5 years experience. But if you fresh grade, you want to go into the company, I think it's also very good to like pick your portfolio and choose your role very very specifically early in the career for you.
Yeah, there's this thing in the industry called the T specialization. I don't know, like upside down T, where like you specialize in something, even though you have a little bit of everything, you still need to specialize in something. Yeah.
Yep.
I see. Okay, thank you so much, Adam and Gwen, for addressing the questions like so candidly and giving, you know, advice based on your years of experience as well as from the hiring point of view. I think we're running a little bit out of time, so we'll close the AMA session for now. Once again, a very big thank you to Gwen and Adam for your time and your tips. We're definitely looking forward to see more action and probably expect some collaborations from both Singapore and Indonesia game associations in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, thank you so
Of
much for your
course.
time. I'll just wrap up this session with an introduction to the Apps Up contest. Okay. So let me just, yeah, my screen is on right now. Okay, so Apps Up contest, basically, I think Adam has already given us a little bit of insight to what it's about. This is a global contest organized by Huawei, and we are aiming to inspire developers to be HMS ready. So whether you're a student, you're a hobbyist, or a professional, if you've got one app or a few of them, or actually a great idea to create a new one, we invite you to join Apps Up and be HMS ready. So this is the second year that Apps Up is actually running, and it is competed across 5 regions, challenging developers around the world to create innovative apps integrated with HMS core kit. Some of the kits I believe Adam has shared earlier, if you're developing games, and be part of building this HMS ecosystem, a smarter future for over 730 million Huawei smartphone users worldwide. So last year in APEC, we saw over 300 teams and over 100 apps being submitted. And within APEC itself, we have seen submissions from across 15 over countries. And we have reached around 3 million plus developers. So hopefully you will be one of them for this year's contest. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Now, Huawei is actually investing a total of US $1 million global prize monies for the 5 regions, with a pool of US 200K that is set aside just for the APEC regions. So this 200K, we are seeing, a total of 20 different teams or apps across 10 over categories. And if you see the table over here, we have 5 new award categories this year. So this means that we have 2 times more award categories than last year, and the new ones are denoted in red. So we have a category that's designed for all levels of developers, whether you are a student, whether you are a female developer, whether you are competing within the fintech category. We're also looking for innovative ones. And last but not least, if you are a budding developer or entirely new to Huawei's ecosystem, we have App Gallery Rising Star Award as well for those who are new to our ecosystem. Okay, now, who can sign up for the contest? So basically, as mentioned, anyone, as long as you have an app or a great idea to create a new one. If you can create a new game or a new app in your hackathons or game jams within 1 weekend or within 24 hours, I believe with a time frame of almost 2 months for Apps Up, you can actually create a decent app to participate in Apps Up contests. Okay, so how to sign up? All you need to do is go to the Apps Up event site, or you can simply search it in Google, and you would actually see the Apps Up website. You'll be asked to register for the Huawei developer account, which Adam has shared earlier on how to do so. After signing up for the account, you also need to register for the Apps Up contest itself, and you can form a team alone or up to 3 people. Now, you might ask, what's in it for you as a developer, or what's in it for developers that's in your company? Apart from cash, as we mentioned, 200K, Apps Up is also a launch pad to bring your apps to market faster with all-round support for release into Huawei App Gallery. So we have sessions like today's workshop, where you can get to interact with judges, get to interact with industry experts. You may ask questions on how to actually incorporate the business case into your app. Okay, and then this contest also provides participants with opportunity to leverage Huawei's platforms with media promotion for up to the top 20. And yeah, one thing that's important, like we've talked about in the AMA session earlier, with COVID, we can't really network on the ground, but contests like this will still be able to get your app noticed by people who matter. So from our judges, who are industry leaders, or also from users who are consumers who we want to target, as well as investors out there. Okay, so yeah, so this is some of the reasons that we would urge you to consider when signing for Apps Up. Now, contest stages and timeline. So as I've mentioned earlier, this is the timeline, and I would like to draw your focus from this key entry period from now until the 20th of August. So this is the key main period where you can register for the contest, do your kit integration, ensure that it is HMS incorporated, HMS ready, and then you may take it to App Gallery, so have it released over there. And after which you are done submitting your app. So this is the main period where you need to participate in Apps Up, and of course, following which we have it is the time where our judges actually review your apps and then provide you some comments, which will float over to you for you to learn and improve on your app. And then there will be a top 20 selection, followed by online voting. So this is where Huawei will also support in promoting the top 20 apps online, so that it can go through a round of voting. And there's a People's Choice Award as well, as you can see from the list of awards earlier. And last but not least, we will be revealing the final category winners in October. So which means to say that all these top 20 going into top 20 selection would mean that you will definitely walk away with a prize, just under which category. Okay, so work submission is a lot of details here. I wouldn't go into them. Firstly, you need to ensure that your app fulfills the basic criteria, that is to integrate with at least one HMS core kit. You also need to then publish it on App Gallery and ensure that it runs perfectly on devices with HMS installed. So how you can test this, we do have cloud debugging and cloud testing sites for you to test it remotely. Okay, and then you can then publish it to Huawei App Gallery. And last but not least, you will need to submit and complete the Apps Up details, so that would ensure that you are in the running for Apps Up. Now, tips and tricks, how to boost your winning chances. So we have actually interviewed and surveyed our 7 judges on, what it takes for them to notice an app, or what advice that they can give to developers who wants to join apps up, how they can improve their chances. So firstly would be focusing on innovation and practicality, how your app stands out and catching their attention. This is very key. Integrating with one or more HMS kits and providing solutions that meet needs. So again, this is back to researching on the user profile that you are targeting. Does it meet the needs, and does it answer to what the market is demanding? Thirdly, will be sharing your experiences on app development and HMS integration journey on Huawei Developer Forum. So there are certain criteria or action that you can do to get more points in terms of judging for in this Apps Up period. Would be number 1, publishing your app into App Gallery, and number 2, submitting an article to actually we are opening up not just Huawei Developer Forum, but to any forum like on Medium or Dev2. If you publish an article on your journey, you can share that link with us, and that can also earn you bonus points. Okay, so I've mentioned publishing to App Gallery also earn you that points, and submitting as many supporting documents and marketing materials to us about your app. So this would give us, as well as the judges, a better idea of what your app is about, and what kind of business case that it caters to. And of course, join future workshop sessions to get more insights on the different industry vertical. Now, as I mentioned, to join future workshop sessions, so what are the upcoming ones to accelerate your HMS learning? So all of our workshops are actually going to be streamed live via our Facebook group. Okay, so this is our 3rd session, so we have upcoming 4 of them. So the next one will be next Saturday, an introduction to Huawei Machine Learning Kit by also one of our judges, Dr. Shivam from India. So this is the session, so stay tuned for this session on our Facebook group live. Okay, and of course, at this point, I really want to thank our panel of judges. So as you can see, Gwen and Adam are part of our panel of judges. We also have 5 other judges on the panel. They could also provide you with advice and industry experiences. So do stay tuned for comments that we can actually float them to you when you submit your apps. And of course, we also want to show our big thanks to our strategic partners who have joined us in promoting Apps Up. So over here, you can see a list of them. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time in joining us. Apologies, we just overran by about 15 minutes, but hopefully this session has been beneficial for you in terms of gaining more industry insights in the mobile games world. So we have a QR code over here. If you think that we can do better, do scan the QR code and let us know the comments that you have. If you have further questions that you didn't get to ask our judges earlier on, do feel free to drop them into the comment boxes where you are watching the live from. And yeah, with that, I would like to thank you for your time and have a good weekend ahead.